Alright, welcome to the video. I'm gonna show you exactly how to use Apollo for scraping, what we've been doing for the last year and a half to scrape Apollo. We've already scraped probably hundreds of thousands of leads, if not a million at this point. It's been absolutely crazy. So we're gonna get into this. I'm gonna show you exactly all my knowledge on how we scrape Apollo for literally $2 per 1,000 leads, depending on how much you're scraping. But generally, it's never gonna go beyond $2.50 per 1,000 leads. So first of all, it's super cheap, and second of all, Apollo is like the decentralized database for B2B leads. Okay, so it's super good. You can basically find anybody on list. If you have a client and they're pretty established, you're going to be able to find them very easily on Apollo and get all of their information there. It's literally, maybe even you yourself are on Apollo and you don't even know. So it is a super good platform. It's just a glorified sales navigator at this point, but it works really well. We were able to book thousands of appointments using this list. So let's get into it. Now, of course, Apollo does require additional enrichment techniques after you get the initial list. This is what we always use Clay for. But let's get into it. Let's talk about Apollo now, how to use it. So as you can see on the screen right here, I have the regular dashboard for creating a search. Now, essentially what we're going to be doing right here is creating your ICP search. Now, of course, you want to be segmenting the leads throughout different markets for different campaigns. But let's just create a general search to find, let's say, B2B coaches who have, let's say 11 to 50 employees. They've been established for a while. Let's try this out. And they're based in the US. So first of all, we have this thing right here. It's called lists. It's going to be irrelevant for 99% of you. This is if you are using Apollo credits, which most of you are not going to be using them. But if for some whatever reason you want to use these credits, you can just create the list so that later on you're not creating the same, you're not scraping the same leads and not contacting them. It's just like a blacklist, right? Essentially. And then this one right here is also super much irrelevant. I've never used this feature, never helped me out in any sort of way. But this right here is very important. So if you're using email marketing and you don't have your own email verifier, this is going to be of great value because essentially you can just target verified emails and you don't have to do any additional enrichments. As you can see, about a third of the leads on Apollo have a so-called verified email. And this is just going to help you with bounce rates when it comes to sending cold emails. So I always have this on. Okay. Now, the next thing is the job titles. It's very important that you're only targeting the decision makers and you're not targeting like growth partners, directors, anything like that. If you're targeting corporate clients, of course, you're going to get a little bit more specific on this. You're going to have to target marketing managers of a specific product or of a specific service. But generally, when we're running the search, most of the times we're just going to be targeting the CEO, like this, the founder, and the owner. And when you put in the founder, owner, and CEO, it's automatically going to count in the co-founders and the co-owners. So don't worry about that. Super simple. And then if you have any job titles that you want to exclude, so for example, right here, if you want to exclude co-owners, you can also do that. I don't see the reason why you would want to do that. But yeah, let's just say we want to exclude co-owners and co-founders. We can very simply do this. And as you can see, we have a list of 1.6 million decision makers, which is a huge list. This is a ton of people because, of course, we're going to get super much more specific with the search. Company right here, this is a little bit more important, and people lookalikes. Can also be used very, very smartly. You can also use Ocean.io for this. This is also a good platform. It works a little bit better. But essentially, if you have any lookalikes or if you have any customers that you already are working with, you can just put them in right here and it's going to show you lookalikes. Super simple. You also have some other features in here. I've never used this thing. I only used lookalikes, okay? And then when it comes to the company, this is a little bit more important. So like if you have super targeted emails, you can include past company and then, just say, let's say Google, right? Let's say they've worked at Google in the past. We have 243 people that have worked at Google and are the executive. Now, what you could do in your email and personalize it in a way where you say, hey, I saw that you worked at Google 3 years ago. That's amazing. So I have this thing that I want to sell you. Basically, that's it, right? And then what we have is we have a couple more features right here. But this is generally the thing that this feature right here can be used for in cold outreach. Education. super irrelevant. I've never used this. It's just, if you want to include any universities that they've been on, it's just filtering down the list for unnecessary reasons. But if you want to include that in your personalization, you can always use, a university here, a university filter, and you can say, hey, I saw that you were in this university. I also know this guy who was there. That's amazing. That's also what you can use. And then location, very important. So let's say you only want to target the US market. I would just put in the US right here. And as you can see, that's a huge market. We have 700,000 people in the US. Now, employees, this is basically going to determine the revenue mark of the company, right? So companies that have more employees typically have more revenue on average. Now, in specific industries like coaching or anything like that, it's going to be a little bit different, or personal training, because the business is not directly correlated to how many employees they have. The revenue is not directly correlated to this because it is a leveraged company. But for most part, we just want to be targeting a little bit bigger companies. In this case, I'm just going to be targeting from 11 to 100 employees. And as you can see, we have 180,000 decision makers from the US who have 11 to 100 employees, which is quite a big number, to be honest with you. Now, a bit more important thing is the industry and keywords. So if we're targeting the coaching industry, I would go into training, professional training and coaching. And as you can see, we have 2,500 professional trainers and coaches with all of this criteria right here in the US. Now, this is a big enough list to scrape already. This is a big enough list. Now, if you want to filter it down even more, you can go and target specifically, let's say, sales coaches by getting a keyword for sales. So as you can see, we have 349 sales coaches and trainers. That's small enough. That's good enough for scraping. That's going to cost us $1 to scrape, realistically, super cheap. And then we have a ton of other options like territories, technologies, revenue. This is not accurate. Do not use this. If you think, oh my God, this is a great feature, it's not. It's an irrelevant feature because this is not correct data. Signals is also not a relevant feature. It's just bullshit. I've never had to use this, and it's not working well. Same goes for job posting. You can use this. It's a little bit more relevant. You can find for people who are hiring for a certain role, like a closer or appointment setter. But then later on, when you're trying to enrich these people and actually validate that they're actually searching for this using Clay, it's going to get super expensive. And I don't recommend using this. That's generally how I would conduct a search. Okay. Now, the way you're going to scrape this is you're going to copy the search, right? So copy the URL of this and go to Ample Leads. Okay, so Ample Leads is a platform. As you can see, we have 24,000 credits. You can create a free trial. It's going to cost you nothing. You're just going to create a free trial. You're going to be able to scrape 1,000 leads for free, which should give you a starting badge. And then after you have the free trial, just paste in the search right here. Make sure it's 349. Okay, so it needs to be at least 400, I guess. All right, like this. And then you can just call it, let's say, what we were looking for. So US sales coaches. All right. Now I would click start scraping. And now it's going to take my credits, as you're going to be able to see in a second, right here. Let's refresh the page. Okay, yeah, as you can see, it took my credits. Now we have only 24,000 left, 24,035. And this is going to take about 24 to 72 hours to scrape. It says 24 to 48. It can take more. Realistically, I mean, normally it takes about 30 hours to scrape, 30 to 40. So you need to wait. And then once it's ready, as you can see, we have a lot of these searches in here. This is one of our accounts. You can just download the CSV like this, or you can just export it to Google Sheets like this. As you can see, we have all of the leads ready right here. And then you can go into the enrichment with Clay. But generally, you're going to want to download the CSV. It's going to take about 2 minutes to download, and then you're going to be able to do whatever you want with it. So that's generally what we do. And this is generally what we do for lead scraping within our agency. We also use tools like Ocean.io, Prospio. But this is generally it. This is what we've been doing for the last 3 years. It's been working amazingly well, ever since we started running outbound systems. So look, if you are an agency owner or if you are a B2B coach who's looking to scale their acquisition and add more customers to their agency, to their offer, I would recommend you book a call with me. Of course, that's my incentive. We run a down-free program. That's the main thing we're running right now for agencies already in multiple six figures a month, sometimes even seven figures. So if you are a fit, you can book a call with me directly. I can show you how we would structure a system for you, and how a revenue share would look like. If you are an agency owner who's just starting out, and let's say you're making below 10K a month, you can also watch my videos on YouTube. I give out free value right here. And I also have a Done With You program, essentially, a system where I give you all of the SOPs and train agency owners, consultants, and coaches who are just starting out and want to run outbound, on how to run their own thing, just essentially copying my internal systems. So that's it. If you're either of two, you can book a call with me in the description. It's not really a big priority for me because I do all of this YouTube stuff just to build trust with the market, and for the personal brand. So for the people that we're booking in from outbound, they can see that we're a trustworthy company. That's it. You can subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next video.